Evening.
To the flag of the United States of America and to a republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, Mr. Chairman, under manager's report, I just received the asbestos survey report for the old town hall. I just want to, share that.
And I do have a quick update, partial update from the RSU coming on board. Make a motion, we approve as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, I was not able to attend the meeting, but I did go back and look at the agenda and watch the video of this small section for just the consent agenda items. There's a bunch of nominations, so I'll just report on those nominations. Nomination of Rose Allen, elementary art teacher, KES, salary of $48,937. Nomination of Sarah McNamee, elementary art teacher, NLD, $62,759. Nomination of Daniel Doherty, special education teacher at Kennebunk High School, $50,452. Nomination of Timothy Kane, transportation manager, salary of $70,000. Nomination of Aaron Christopher, 1 year full fifth multi-age teacher at KCS, $49,462. Nomination of Jillian Cody, elementary music teacher, SRS, $68,263. Nomination of Patrick Fulford, elementary physical education teacher at KES, $47,345. Nomination of Ivy Gardner, high school teacher, KHS. Salary was TBD, and I missed it. And you mentioned anything during the minutes. I don't know what the salary is for that individual. Nomination of Jennifer Gordon, elementary Spanish teacher, NLD, $70,566. Nomination of Amy Hoffmaster, elementary STEM teacher, KCS, $48,937. Nomination of Heather Violette, elementary K1 multi-age teacher, KCS, $66,730. Retirement of Sandra Sarut, elementary music teacher, 11 years. Resignation of Amy Paquette, third grade teacher at SRS. And resignation of Meg Parkhurst, educational recovery officer. All those consent agenda items.
Yes, we're still working on the placement of a shed outside here at the municipal building to accommodate not only the Bobcat and the snow blower, along with chemicals and other things that we're going to need for storage, outdoor storage around here. So we thought we had a shed coming from some folks in Lyman, but evidently we had a miscommunication as to whether they were going to build it or not build it, so they're not building it. So we're in the process of finding another vendor to provide that to us. So we're hoping to have that done sometime this fall. Right now, talk a little bit about the snow plowing and ice control update. Nothing new at this point. I know that all the information is now going out to local vendors as well as the public. So they'll be back sometime in September, and hopefully we'll have something to choose from and further discussion related to those ice control measures. I do know that we still had some more activity relative to additional employees for the Public Works Department. That's still pending, so we'll have to see how that folds out. As I reported to you at your last meeting, the Hazmat Day follow-up, traditionally we've accompanied both Kennebunk Port, Kennebunk, Wells, and ourselves in a large Hazmat Day held over in Kennebunk. When I reviewed the contract this year, and I've been told it was in there for many years, there was a piece in there about future, if there, in the event there was future litigation, we would have to abide by Commonwealth of Massachusetts laws related to any litigation. I brought up the question that, you're talking about Maine municipalities. Evidently, the company is not willing to budge. They're going to leave it as is. So I've indicated to Kennebunk that at this point, we will not be participating this year in the Hazmat Day through them. I reached out to Casella Waste Management, our vendors at the transfer station. They've provided another company that is here in Auburn, Maine, Environmental Projects, Inc. So I've reached out to them to see, they do hazmat days. We'll see what they come up with for the cost and associated activities as such. So we may end up, I'm hoping that we don't have to scrap it totally. We may end up doing something on our own. Sure.
We earmark a certain amount of dollars for that.
We do. We put it in the transfer station budget. It's anywhere between $4,200 to $4,800 a year, depending on the activity.
So we do have some money.
Correct. And it really is predicated on the folks from Arundel who go over and utilize that Hazmat Day service. And finally, a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to Safe Environmental Solutions, who came down and met with me at the old town hall to do a environmental assessment of the building. If in the future we or the townspeople decide to tear the building down, we wanted to know what type of environmental issues that we're going to need to deal with. The report came back late today. I'll be able to provide you folks one so you can see it all, but essentially after gleaning it and talking with Chris Lewis, the gentleman from Safe Environmental Solutions, he indicated that the only place in the testing results that they found were the only place that we had possible asbestos was in the mastic within the 12 by 12 linoleum tiles that are placed within the building. They're not through the entire building, but most of the building has this mastic glue that has to be removed prior to any demolition of the building. So the complete second floor is, and then downstairs, it appears that the entrance way and the room that was once the general Wendy's room, general assistant's office, were the only ones that did not have mastic in it. So the rest had to be done. So I spoke to him today because I wanted to try to get a ballpark cost, and we're still working on that. I indicated to him that anything above $5,000 for us would have to be placed out to bid. He would be willing to be a bidder, and he indicated to me that it would definitely be above $5,000. So we'll wait for that. You know, I'll wait to put together some sort of package and see. He's going to help me with some ballpark number. So for budgetary purposes, so we can add it to whatever cost we get for demo and things like that that we can share with the people. So still a work in progress, but a little bit more. He took 39 samples of various materials within the building, and the only thing that came back was the mastics, the glue in the floors. So far, anyway. That's all I have. That very well could be, but I didn't take a formal vote down. I heard very quickly and abruptly that the name was misspelled, so I wanted to make that correction before you took any action.
Second.
I'll send it on down.
You have the application, you can answer it.
I just thought that I would say. Okay.
Make the application. Secondly, any other questions?
Approve the application.
Next question.
I abstain. Yeah.
Let me send it on down. Yes, I provided you a memo that was completed today. The tax assessor came in over the weekend, completed the entering and the blending of the values between both our vision program and our trio program, so they all met and collected right. What I saw is that last year we had increase of about $20 million in value, and this year, interesting enough, it came in $22 million more in value than the previous year. So, talking with the assessor again, the cottages was the driving force. Right now, we have over 100 new units that are being placed on the tax rolls. And what I did is I asked the assessor to provide to you various amounts of tax rates based on overlay that would be necessary to cover those tax rates. So those are on the sheet there. By law, we can't increase it more than 5% over the actual that's needed. So if it was 5%, it would be $401,000 that we would put in overlay and give us a tax rate of 1773. But traditionally, we've been very conservative with this, and the general purpose of overlay is to really ensure that our expenses are covered. And last year, our overlay was about $2,200. This year is projected to ensure that we have that covered. Would be our overlay would come in at $4,359.97 and give us a tax rate of $16.90, which would be 17 cents more than last year, and about 1% increase in tax rate. Again, the various overlays that are there, various tax rates that are set. I just wanted her to give you a variety of other ones, but it would be my recommendation to go with a 1690.
How many more units, do you know how many more units are left to go with the cottages?
Well, they're in phase 5 now. I believe they're constructing phase 5. They've proposed to come to the planner and the code officer to discuss phase 6. They're looking at possibly getting approval for phase 6. There's some issues with phase 6 because it falls outside of the TIF district. So, and I'm not sure how that's going to be handled. It's become a question that we're all trying to answer now.
How did that happen?
Well, when the TIF district was delineated, it was delineated a certain acreage. Now, I don't know if the acreage was limited based on what could be placed in the TIF district, but that's where we are right now. So there's questions on that lot, on that option 6 or phase 6. So they're working on that now. I'm sure they'll have further discussion. But if it isn't in the TIF and it gets approved, then it's just straight.
Yeah.
It would be.
One plus for us.
Right. The only negative to the developer is that he wouldn't be able to use, there wouldn't be any residual money coming back to him for development of phase 6. So, and I'm not sure how that plays out with them at this point, but those discussions are ongoing.
But that's, at some point in time here soon, that's gonna dry up.
I believe phase 6 is the final phase. Phase 6 is it, yeah.
How many years is the TIP?
I want to say it's 30. Was it 30 when it started? I think it was 30. Okay.
20 years.
I didn't pull the record today.
No,
Okay.
Remember,
I'd have to double check, but I pulled the records today just to look at the TIF district. I didn't look at the length of the TIF.
somewhere I have all those.
Well, I would make a motion that, we go with the, $16.09, hopefully $4,359, as you suggested.
I'll second that.
For the discussion. Comments on the budget? I'll be there, John.
John, you're not saying anything.
No, well, I haven't seen any of the final.
I'll send them over to you. I got them today.
Then, motion made second. Then,
Right, we received two. I think the first one was from Southern Maine Lawn Care. Yep.
And did it seem
No, you're the only one that has those documents right now. That would be a monthly total.
What was it, Tom, 1,001?
The yellow tab I put on is what it would be monthly, weekly, I'm sorry, so people would know what it was weekly.
Broken it down to the rest of this year for 4,950.
Yep.
And then 2022. On fertilizer, 7,000.
For the entire year. Yeah, starting April 1st to December 31st. So I have to define how he wants to break that down. But if you look at his monthly, if you look at JW Booth's monthly amount compared to Southern Maine landscaping, it's slightly less per month.
And he lives in Arundel.
Yes, that's correct.
Uh,
No, he lives in
this one
Waterboro,
says
I believe.
Waterboro. This is Waterboro.
One of the landscapers went up through a couple of months ago. So they didn't have the manpower to put it in. But if we gave the job to someone, they would be willing to donate any month. Whoever's doing the work, then go to their place and pick it up.
It's very nice of him.
That was, Terrible landscape.
Okay. My initial review of these RFPs leads me to believe that the JW Booth's landscaping proposal is probably the best proposal that we have out of the two. They're pretty close, but I think that he's provided a lot more. It seems to me that in his proposal, there's more options to be available to us. And if you do not feel comfortable of completing an approval tonight, my suggestion would be that I reach out to Mr. Booth and just sit down and iron out some additional details relative to how it compares to the other one, because they're a little bit slightly different. And I just want to get a better understanding of what that all means, particularly to the end of the year here, how that would equate out, what he would be doing to the mulch beds, or if he has to work on that this year, and any trimming. So that may modify that a little bit, but I think that he would be the one that we should be looking at.
Especially if we can get replaced, fresh mulch, get that at no cost or reduced cost.
So it would be my view to maybe table it at this point, allow me to do a little bit more discussion with Mr. Booth, and then come back with more of a robust determination as to what we're going to be looking at in terms of cost.
You said that something million was 281 a month, is that what you said?
281.25
A month?
a week,
Oh, okay.
281.25 a week. That would be mowing, and then whatever else he'd be doing.
So the move fee of 622 a month, it's a significant loss.
Well, yeah, it depends on how that's equated out. That's why it's a little iffy to me, and I'd like to, nail that down a little bit better.
So did both proposals, are we comparing apples to apples? Did they, based on what you sent out?
I think so, but the way they're giving it to me in terms of information is a little bit different. So I'd like to understand that a little bit better.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, I provided a copy of his application. I spoke to Wendy because she coordinates efforts for the ZBA, indicated to me that Mr. Van Sickle has served on this board before and is showing a willingness again to serve. We haven't had many folks that have come forward to serve on the ZBA, so it would be my recommendation to you to approve Mr. Van Sickle for appointment to the ZBA.
The volunteer. Make a motion, we approve the payables and payroll warrant.
Anything happening that's doing you?
In terms of any additional work at this point, no, sir. I spoke to Roger. I went down and observed it myself at this point. It appears that the grass is recatching into those areas where the grub had infestation. And I haven't gone any further than that at this point. Whether we're going to get into a more of a robust fertilization and program, it would require probably additional RFPs to be issued based on the preliminary cost that was associated with Fielder's Choice, the company who provided the initial work for us. Based on their estimate, we'd have to go back out to RFP. So that's where I am right now. I think I want to talk to Roger a little bit more. I don't know if we've all taken and had an opportunity to look at it. I know that Phil, you've been there before, so I don't know if you've been back since. So I don't know what your assessments would be as well.
I have a question. Has the property on the campground road, has that been covered by the code enforcement officer, and has everything been taken care of?
Yes, as far as we're concerned, both Jim and I reviewed the campground road property. He's now within compliance of the ordinance. What remains are 2 unregistered cars, which do not put him into the junkyard statute, and there's one 53-foot trailer box trailer that is locked with his personal belongings in it. So at this point, there's nothing else on that lot other than those two items, and he's in compliance. So I've instructed the attorneys we had a draft letter that we were getting ready to bring to you tonight, but based on his efforts, we've tabled that at this point.
Charter committee? We did work on that?
Yep, we can.
Couple of items. You had reached out to Pine Tree Waste on a local, or having them folks to do trash pickup. Have you heard anything back from them on that?
I have not. The last I had heard from them is they were doing a analysis of the roads, trying to determine exactly what days they would be picking up trash, what days they would be picking up recycling, and providing a cost to that. I think what may be slowing the process is that we have a contract with them now to provide transfer station services to us, and I think they'd like to get closer to the end of that contract and then maybe come up with a proposal as to what the cost would be, so we can compare both of those to what it's going to cost to add those types of events as opposed to keeping the transfer station open. So I think that's what's delaying it. Last time I talked to Erica, I think that was the thing that was sort of putting it on their back burner right now. I can have them push it a little harder to see if they can give us the number, so at least we know what it is.
We get what, 2 years left on that contract?
I believe so.
Because I know that they do that for some people here in the
They provide pickup service to people.
Yeah. Of course, it would be significantly more.
Yes.
And there's a company that already picks up from Arundel, and they pick up for us. And they would be very eager to inform me on the streets of desire.
Okay.
They would like to meet and find out what the job description would be exactly. And they'd be very excited about that and forth. And they pretty much promise that they can beat this up.
The thing that Casella's working on right now is they have to do they're trying to establish the route system, they identify all the public roads that they would have to access to, break those down so they can pick them up 2 days a week, and then the other 2 days they would have for recycling. So there'd be 4 days a week that there'd be some activity, whether it's trash pickup or recycling within town. So I think that's what they're working on. Now that data will be good for anybody who's going to be proposing to at least know how many miles of public road that they're going to have to access in order to pick up trash.
As far as the contract goes, unless they say that we agree together, we're stuck with that contract until the end of 2 years anyway.
Right. Yeah. We would have to, if we wanted to go into something else, we'd have to decide what we're going to do with that other contract and their willingness to maybe void that contract in order to move on to something else. But based on what Phil is describing, there may be some competition involved, and they may be reluctant to do that.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. That's the case. And we got to go out to bid for this anyway. So.
Right.
And then have you heard back at all yet from the DOT on asking to reduce the speed limit on Route 111? Somebody mentioned that it seemed from all the way up to Kate's. We talked about possibly reducing that or asking to reduce that speed limit.
I didn't get much reception to that. That would be something. That would be something that the DOT obviously would have to do survey and do some more analysis. But as that report described, it looks like the frequency of accidents at New Road have subsided. And what's happened is that some of those accidents have sort of been pushed westerly towards Drew's Mills Road, towards Kate's Butter. But what I found interesting, there weren't as many accidents as I thought there were going to be, based on the concern that was being expressed at the time. So I can pursue it further in terms of speed. I know the sheriff's office was going to go out and monitor some speed and try to get them to slow down a bit. And I expressed that to both the chief, the deputy chief, as well as the sheriff, or deputy sheriff, I should say, as well as the sheriff. So I've expressed those thoughts
I
from you folks.
don't think that it's much of an issue with an accident now. I think it's more of a road rage issue where everybody is jockeying for position. Right? They freaking race down that and try to pass one car on the right-hand side. I mean,
Yeah.
there could be a major accident because of that. Luckily, that was not.
Right.
I'm looking at the area of this two levels. One is a decade ago, I was the Arundel representative for the York County study of the local highways, which included 111. It was a combination of MTA, DOT, and then we had community representatives. Sorry, I'm trying to be diplomatic. The DOT and the Main Turnpike Authority are remarkably unaware of what actually happens on roads. They talk about expanding 111 to a 4-lane highway, a divided 4-lane highway. And then they were informed by some of us that there were actually people who lived on the road and needed to get across for farming purposes, among others. I showed them aerial photographs at one point and explained where certain things were. I basically took 3 miles in front of 111 and tried to explain what actually happens on that. And this was towards the end of the meeting, and they were astonished, but they never looked at that. One of the things that was discussed had to do with that extra lane. We talked about, and this was one of the last meetings, we talked first about specific hazards on that stretch. And I explained to them that when you come down the hill to Kate's Butter, in certain weather conditions, there is an abrupt drop of temperature. So prior to Kate's Butter, the road is not slick. But as soon as you make that turn, the temperature drops, you've got ice on the road. And they said they were unaware of that. I assured them it was the case. And immediately after that, they suggested putting that double lane on that hill. I raised my hand again and I said, maybe not, considering what we just discussed about the icing. So they moved it up the hill. My impression, up until the time when they put the lines on the road, was that double lane was supposed to be headed east, not west. And I still am not sure why they did that. I think if it was headed east, there would be less of a problem in terms of the speedway. And the other suggestion I think now, if you're going to pursue speed limit, drop the speed limit to 40 all the way to the road. They didn't do it because they are convinced that the 111 from Sanford to Riverford should be a throughway, basically. They see it only as a commuter route. They don't particularly care about any local businesses. They don't particularly care about much of anything else. They just want people moving all the time. So you're going to run into a great deal of resistance just because they have that preset attitude. But in terms of what I witnessed in front of my house, which is starting to become a local junkyard, I turn around and pile of cars in front of the house. Part of that is speed, and part of it is just people not paying attention when they're making turns. So lowering the speed limit, especially to 40 miles an hour, all the way to the road and west, would at least on paper alleviate the problem. To give tickets if people were exceeding that. practically, it's not going to make a difference, because they're going to do 65 and 70 anyway. So, good luck with that.
My belief is, I don't know why they didn't make that middle lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another-
That'd make perfect sense.
I don't get why they didn't do that.
Because it made sense.
No, to Donna's point, all they want to do is they just want to fly people up and down, you know, because there's tons of people coming from Sanford, and at the end of the day, tons of people heading back to Sanford and Springfield.
You know, but if that turning lane was used properly, it would be good for people to pull out. They'd be able to get in the middle
Oh,
and accelerate or decelerate, whatever they need to do. It would be ideal, but.
yeah, I mean, you know, you're at the shopping center and you come up and people are jockeying for position to get in front of you there. And then after holidays, it opens up and people jockey, I mean, it's ridiculous. To gather 1 or 2 car lots, like, really?
The other thing we discussed the long term, and which will probably eventually solve a lot of the problem, is a spur to the turnpike in Bedford. That has tremendous resistance to people who represent Bedford. But that would allow the people who are coming from Sanford to go around and eliminate the turn on 111 through 11. The traffic pattern on 111 is very interesting. If you want to leave my driveway, and a lot of you also know this picture in the same area, first thing in the morning, you might just go not bother. The same thing between 3:30 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's great. But at noontime, in fact, you walk across the road, it's not going to get those things. This is nobody there. So it's a very inconsistent exaggeration. It's a very inconsistently traveled route. And it's basically and that also explains part of the reason for the accident. We're trying to get home from work. So again, they're in a hurry.
That also explains the DOT stance on.
Yes, it does.
Show those who, until they have some traffic along that road.
Yes, they did.
All the biggest primary. So.
Yeah.
DOT was over there last week. They painted some areas away, something about it. And today, as we were trucking by, there's some DOT people out there walking around. I don't know what they were doing, but there was 3, the DOT vehicle, 3 people out there discussing something.
Well, again, I mean, I think, you know, we're representing the town, I mean, I know you already have, but I feel that we try to really voice concerns of the DOT that is a dangerous situation. They won't do anything, but. Well, he sits on the transportation board, right?
He used to. I'm not sure if he got reassigned to it or not. I can reach out to Wayne, find out.
Doesn't he look down there? That's.
It lives right there,
Yeah, right in the middle.
right across the street.
Keep Proctor Road, that open?
I am not sure. Roger hasn't said anything to me. So my assumption is if it isn't, it's going to be, but I haven't heard anything else from him. I'll follow up on him. Thank
We
you.
got a big bill from Dayton Sand and Gravel. That could have been cleared to the state, so.
They
Yeah,
were,
that's the plowing, that's the work that we've been doing.
they were mowing Proctor Road today. Big sign is up there, mowing project.
No, then, and I think the cruises are a little better.
Oh, much, yeah.
I think he has, you know.
Good job. You know, those
Jack, do you notice any difference with the acoustics in this room?
Yes, there is something. Perfect.
We're moving in the right direction then, huh?
I have the 50-foot couple of walls, so I can help with sound quality also.
Well, I mean, I noticed right off the bat, when we came in, Donna came in, and she started talking, and it's like, I could hear her perfectly, even with the mask. Big difference, so it certainly felt like.
The microphone, in terms of fixed, I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
We have new mics coming. We have new microphones coming that will be up here, and they're desktop type mic, and they should be a lot better for when we're not directly on it. So hopefully that'll help. I'm told that they're gonna be a whole lot better, so. Well, they're made for a desk environment, so they'll pick up, if one is here, they'll pick up a lot better Jason, Delma versus these. These are made almost to directly speak into them, so hopefully that'll be much better. I'm told that it'll be a whole lot better.
Turn and talk to the person next to you. You have a good statement. Is any consideration taken of L mics?
Initially when we first started looking at this, I thought of those, but
Don't you have like a battery pack?
it depends on the, depends on the kind that you get. Some of them, actually, most of them are like that. We have them at work like that. I don't know, I don't think that we really took those into consideration. But again, I'm hoping that these desktop mics gonna work a lot better. We'll put one out there. We're keeping a couple of these mics, and then we'll try the other ones. Hopefully those will work better.
Are you expecting delivery really soon on the?
What did he say? Sometime in September?
September, yeah, they were back ordered.
Anything else, folks?
Second.